Today is a Tacoma kind of day. I'm going to be installing a pretty important modification. As you can see right now, the tailgate is locked. So every time I need to go unlock it, I got to find the key, come back. Since I have the cover, I like having this locked. It just gives me another extra space to put some items. So I have to figure out which way to unlock it. Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, today we are working on the tailgate and specifically installing, I don't want to call it like a knockoff pop and lock, but this is just the actuator that I ordered offline. I will have this down in the description below so you can get this exact part. So I have the actuator. We're going to be able to lock and unlock the tailgate tapping into the passenger side door wiring, which I'll show you here soon. I've got some extra wiring to run that, some electrical tape, zip ties, some connectors. I'm going to need some more tools than just the hex keys. But this project has cost me $30 versus the actual pop and lock system, which is around $90 to $100. So far, I'm in this project less than half of the cost. Hopefully this does work because I have seen a lot of your comments, why don't I do the pop and lock system? Well, today, hopefully I can. So all of these should be the same size. Looking at my hex keys here, this is a T30. Okay, with all of those out now, I believe there were 16 of them. I can just slide this out of the way. And just to show you what we're dealing with here, you can see this rod on the right side, there's one on the left side. Both of those go to the actual hinges. So when I pull on the latch, that's obviously what opens up the tailgate. And then here is the lock system right here. So you can see that's locked right now, unlocked. I can easily move everything else. So with everything out of the bag here, this is the actuator itself. If you want to put this on a different truck, you have the option to do that. I think this is going to really help me out. I'm in and out of the tailgate so often. I like having it locked. So hopefully this is a good solution for it without spending that $90 to $100. So the way that I'm going to line this up from this side, since I can't see the underside, basically these two pieces here, they line up perfectly where there's an indentation on the opposite side. So that way I can get good contact for this to be bolted to. If I had it over this ridge here, it kind of wiggles a little bit. So my plan is to have it solid like that. So I'm going to move it to this side here because on the back side, this is opposite to how it is right now. So it's wobbling on this side, but underneath it's going to be solid because there is an indentation there. And what I also want to do is I want to have these wires sticking out so that way it makes it easier for me to connect them. Right about here is where I want to drill the hole, and I'm just going to double check that I have contact there. I think that's going to be good. So I'm going to go right about here. There's nothing on the back side, no wires or anything. Alright, so that is kind of a mock-up. I don't have that screw all the way in, but I can at least try to see underneath. Hole's going to be right about there. Perfect. The holes line up. So with that step done, I think that was almost the hardest thing, but it actually went pretty smooth. I'm going to try to get you guys an angle down in the tailgate here so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. Here is the actual actuator itself, nicely tucked away. So this bar here is going to go up through here, and I'm going to fish it through just like this. And with that bar all the way through right now, you can see it is much longer than it needs to be. And even, ooh, that's a better mock-up to show you guys. So basically what I need to do is I need to make a bend in this piece right here. And it's going to go through a hole that I drill through this piece here. I tried connecting other parts. This does have another little gold piece with it. If it works on your truck, great. It doesn't seem to work on this. So I can't attach anything to this little nub on the top, because it doesn't go in a straight line. You can see it goes to the right and then back to the left. So I can't use anything on that or this actual mechanism itself. But you can see this piece goes straight forward and straight back. So that is what I'm going to kind of tap into, drilling a small hole through that. My only concern with this is, on this, I actually do only have one shot, because if I split it or break it, that's going to be more trouble than it's worth. And so I'm going to try to go right in the middle, as close to the middle as I can. So now I need to mark where I need to make the bend to line up with this hole. So I'm going to try to do this by hand first, but I might have to go put it in the vise just to get a little bit more of a better bend, I should say. But you know, this stuff is, or at least this bar is very, very thin. Okay, so with that bent, it looks like I'm in a pretty good spot. And basically what I need to do now is trim the excess off of this yellow bar. And so I'm going to start right about here. Here's how it's looking so far. You can see the bend I have. I have the end of the wire all the way down to here. I do need to bend that again, so I might get some pliers just to pull that up. That way, if it for some reason it pops straight up, well, it won't be able to do that. And so now that should be it. We have the wire going all the way to the actuator right here. And if you now see, I'm not gonna do this too many times, but the truck is unlocked right now, so I can easily do that. And then theoretically, when I hit the lock or unlock, it's gonna do that. It's gonna push down that actuator, and now it is locked. So I have everything basically secured there, but now what I need to do is all the wiring, and basically I'm gonna follow this cable here because this cable comes out of the tailgate, it goes up underneath the truck, it will come back out right about here. So it's this wire right here running along the frame rail. It's gonna go up and underneath the floorboard of the truck and then into the passenger side. So it's very easy just to pop this trim piece off. You just have to wiggle it a little bit, just like that. And then this piece here, there is a screw in the back side. Looks like this. And then you can easily pop this trim right off, just like so. Right. And I'll be fishing the wire up through underneath the carpet here. I'm gonna run it with these wires here. And then the plug that we're dealing with is this one on the right side here. So I'll have to unplug that. We're gonna tap into 2 of those wires there. I have already cut this, whatever you wanna call it, this covering for the wires. So that way I have plenty of room to hook into those wires already and then try to just cover it up from there. Before I cut what I think is the correct length, I'm gonna go ahead and start fishing it all the way through. So there's a grommet here that you can actually take out, but I'm going to fish it through the side so that way I don't have to drill any holes. I only wanted to drill the 2 holes that I had to for here. So there's actually a little bit of a gap where I can put this wire through. Same thing with the one on the back of the truck. Oh, and I will have to do this twice since there are 2 connections on here. This is just the first wiring, so I will have to do this a second time. You guys should be able to see this. This is the back side, obviously, of the bumper. And so I'm gonna be pulling this all the way through. I'm basically just following that wire that I showed you earlier. So it runs on the inside of the frame rail. It wasn't too bad to get it up around the fender flare here, but I will have this wire on the back side of this wire because the exhaust is right there. And so obviously I don't want this to be close to that, so that's the only concern that I have. But other than that, and aside from not zip tying this down yet, it's really not all that bad. Here is now where I'm going to be going straight up through the floor. I believe it's right here. I'm going to be able to pull this wire straight through. So that is pretty cool. That's something I didn't even know there was a grommet where you could wire stuff to the bed. There's one on the driver's side as well. So if I do any lights or anything and I want to get the switch to the inside of the cab, this is a cool little hidden fact if you didn't know. So now I just need to make sure I have enough, and it looks like I have a good bit to get to this plug here. So it's been another 10-15 minutes. I'm into this project about an hour and 15 minutes so far. I just got done running wire number 2. I'm glad I did not pre-cut these wires because I had to adjust them and fix the wire just a little bit. So here are the 2 ends. So I'm gonna get those ready here in a second to go into that plug there. And they're both running up underneath the floor again. They are running on the back side. I'm gonna have them zip tied. You can see I have 2 already, but I'm gonna zip tie them all up once I get everything hooked up, so that way it just looks a little bit cleaner. I just wanna make sure everything works first. You can see it's up underneath that side of the exhaust, over the wheel well there, or up underneath, and then obviously back where I showed you guys back here. We will be tapping into the red wire and the green wire, so I'm gonna try to separate these as best I can. And I have these connectors here, so I just need to put one around the red wire, obviously, and one around the green wire, and then the other end of this wire will be going into here, and then I'll just clamp that together, tape it all up nicely, and that should be the connection for this plug. moment of truth, it is time to actually try this and see if it works. So I have my connections right here. Nothing is cleaned up yet. I just want to make sure it works before I actually tie everything up and zip tie all the wires and everything. Both wires are running up underneath the back of the truck, or underneath obviously. And then these connections here are not exactly done yet. I just wanted to, again, hook them up and make sure everything works. So for the time being, test number 1, let's go ahead and shut the door. Truck is unlocked right now. So as I hit lock, let's make sure the tailgate is unlocked, so you can see the sides moving. But let's go ahead and lock it. Oh, that is so cool. So the tailgate is locked right now. Oh, I guess I have to hit it twice. But look at that. For $30, I have a makeshift pop and lock system. That is awesome. So that is pretty cool. It took me about an hour and a half to do this, and I still have a little bit more work to do. Last up, before I go ahead and put the last piece on the tailgate, I have everything else completed, all the zip ties and everything, but I just wanted to do one last kind of walkthrough just to show you guys everything. So I have all these trim pieces back on, the wiring is all hooked up and nicely tucked away, obviously goes up underneath. So I have a good amount of zip ties, they're all holding the wire in nicely to this cable that goes all the way to the, I think it's the backup cable, backup camera cable. And I have it nicely zip tied to all that insulation there, all the way to the back. As we go up underneath where the exhaust is, you can see that cable runs all the way through here. Have it zip tied around the other side of this plug. I just have 3 zip ties holding that in place, and then all the wiring is nicely tucked up underneath. So the final test I want to do is actually close the tailgate and make sure that everything works. So it's unlocked right now. I'm going to go ahead and lock the vehicle, and you can hear it. It's a pretty loud mechanism. Go ahead and double tap it to unlock it, and just again, that is pretty cool. The vehicle is unlocked right now. If I lock it from here, this should be locked. And then if we go and grab the handle, you'll hear it unlock, and it should unlock back here just like normal. So that is pretty cool. But I should be able to use the manual key just in case something went wrong. So yeah, that still works. So I have 2 ways to do that now. So that's something that is pretty cool. I use the tailgate quite a lot, so having to use the key, go back there all the time or forget it and have to go back inside and get it, I can just have it locked and unlocked with the truck. So that's gonna make it a whole lot easier. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video on a very cheap mod for the truck. And you can do this on other vehicles as well, not just the Tacoma. I'll have the link down below to this actuator if it's something that you want to do yourself. That's going to wrap it up for today. If you enjoyed the video, give it a huge thumbs up, smash that subscribe button. We'll see you guys in the next video.